Good evening, everyone. This is Angie, and sorry I can't be there this evening. This is my PowerPoint on learning disabilities in math. I chose to do a PowerPoint over dysgraphia. What is dysgraphia, you might ask? It's a learning disorder described as an impairment in written expression. Students who have dysgraphia tend to have poor handwriting. They have a hard time putting thoughts on paper, problems with note taking. They also have a hard time thinking and writing at the same time, holding their pencil correctly, and hold their body in an awkward position when they're writing. There are a lot more signs and symptoms that you can look for, and those can be found online. Dysgraphia isn't just bad handwriting. So here I've listed a few other signs of dysgraphia that you might notice in students in your classroom. They have a difference. There's a difference in the way that they speak and write when sharing ideas. It's pretty obvious. They can't plan very well, spatially on paper, so they have a hard time organizing their work. They don't like to draw, so that can be a problem in a math class a lot of times, especially geometry, trigonometry, those types of classes. When they get tired and they do have to write anything, they complain about pain and they're just too tired to do it. And sometimes it looks like their brain is working faster than they can get things done on paper, and that makes it really difficult for them to produce quality work on paper. I chose dysgraphia because I have a son, Matthew, who's 10 years old. He's in the fourth grade, and this year he was diagnosed with dysgraphia. It took a lot of testing for them to kind of figure out what was going on. He had terrible handwriting. He hated to write. They were doing cursive. He hadn't had any practice with cursive, and at the school he's in now, they've been doing cursive since second grade. So that was frustrating. And even though he's very articulate and has great ideas and can share those ideas, he had a really hard time getting good thoughts on paper in his writing class for his teachers. So they were concerned that maybe he had dysgraphia. So they tested him. He has some accommodations. It's amazing how much just paying attention to that, his writing has improved. He's learning cursive, and not only are we proud of him, his teachers are proud of him, but he is proud of how much progress he's made. Things to look for in the classroom specifically are, especially in math, it's kind of hard to kind of keep an eye out for this type of thing. I'm concerned that I have students that might show signs of dysgraphia, and so I've been really trying to pay attention. They have bad spacing when they're putting numbers and symbols down, like writing equations. They leave numbers or words out when they're putting together problems. A lot of these kids have a problem copying notes from the board because seeing it, they understand it, but getting it on paper so they have something that they can use is really difficult for them. Of course, they don't like to draw or write. They hold their pencil funny or their pen funny. It's very stiff. They tend to have illegible handwriting. And again, they still have difficulty organizing their thoughts and their work in steps on paper, even though math isn't typically a writing class. There's some suggested accommodations, and a lot of these seem like they would make sense. Keyboarding for writing things like if we're doing a critical write or writing justifications out that are lengthy, or even step-by-step problem solving. Lots of times I'll write steps out in words, and so I've started letting the kids take a picture of that, and then they can type that up if they want to use it in their notes. They can have an interactive notebook. Extra time if they're doing a writing task, and giving them worksheets with the problems already written out so they don't have to copy them is a good idea. Alternative assignments, and allowing them to use special paper. I know that I have several students that aren't diagnosed with dysgraphia, but prefer to use graph paper to keep their work organized. I even prefer to use graph paper, so that's kind of an interesting thing that I saw come up in my research. And if graph paper is not available, turning their notebook paper sideways so that they have nice columns to work with is also a good idea. Teaching strategies, just like any other learning disability, a teacher should be patient and encouraging, because this does not mean the student is lazy. Show them how to hold a pencil if you have younger kids. Talk to them about how they're holding their pencil. That seems like kind of a small thing, especially if the older kids that you have, like for me, juniors and seniors, but it does help them. Give them a choice if they write, print or cursive. Be flexible with their spelling, which I don't know about you guys, but in a math class, I'm fairly flexible, and I let them use what I call math speak abbreviations like B/4 for before, um, the three dots in a triangular pattern for therefore when they're justifying things, that type of thing. And giving them skeletal notes is always a good idea, unless the definitions are those types of things are extensive. And a suggestion, what I do is if we have a lot of definitions in our notes, I'll typically will put together that as a class, and then I just print them for the student, because I'll do them on the Promethean board that I have, and then I just print that set of notes so they actually have what we did in their class. I also tried to provide you with some ideas of things to talk to parents about and encourage parents to do, because I can tell you, as a parent who had no idea my student was having this problem, I felt so guilty. And even being a teacher, dysgraphia is quite new. At least to us it was new, and so I wasn't really sure what to do for Matthew. Just communicating with his teacher and the diagnostician and his administrator really helped us feel comfortable with the things we needed to do for him. He's really lucky because we have a good fourth grade team, and just being their advocate, but working with high school kids, I might suggest to you, just be patient with parents and remind them they want their child to advocate for themselves, because once they're out in the real world, either in college or trade school or in a business, working as an employee, they have to advocate for themselves. Nobody's going to want to talk to your parents. So encouraging that independence and perseverance, and having them see their learning disability as something making them stronger and better, rather than it being a hindrance to their learning and using it as a crutch, is always a good thing. And you'll find that a lot of parents want to be involved. You'll be surprised, I think. There are also, I looked up some technology supports for students with dysgraphia, because in the math realm, I wasn't really sure what was available. Our students have, we're a campus where all of our students have a laptop, and like at the middle school and the elementary school, they all have an iPad. So I was curious what they have. And here are some technology apps that are available, software and apps that are available. I know that when I was researching it online, AlphaSmart was a very popular thing that people brought up, and MathScribe. But then I looked into the Solver and the FFX, and those look like pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting application and software that might be a good support for students. Implications in the math classroom, really just giving students with dysgraphia some kind of defined guidelines that will play to their strengths is always a good idea. There's so much anxiety in math anyway, anxiety that's involved in writing tasks. I would want those to be minimalized, because I want the student to learn the math. They'll get their writing in English and that type of thing. So keeping in mind that they may be really good in mathematics, they might just have a hard time getting things down on paper, is a good idea, and giving them some creative freedom with some things. Note taking, using technology, that type of thing might help them build confidence, and integrating those strategies can also help your, regular students, what we call regular students usually, and the teacher. In fact, this has helped me a lot to learn about this. So that's why I wanted to share it. Thank you.